Hello, I'm Sarah Ledger, CEO of Lexonik, and we are a reading intervention and teacher training company, and we work with lots of schools in all of your trusts already, which is fantastic. But I'm going to chat to you today about reading. So, you've done your reading assessments, you've identified your students, but now what? So in order to kind of answer that question, we need to start to think about remind ourselves of the fundamentals of reading. So if we use the model of the 5 pillars of reading, because this is kind of the most simplistic way of thinking about it, your data is telling you quite clearly that certain students are struggling at certain points of their reading progress. So therefore, a one-size-fits-all reading intervention is not going to be appropriate, especially when we're getting into the secondary school, the post-16, the AP and the PRU provisions. So we all learn to read first and foremost through our ears, not our eyes. So phonemic awareness, understanding the sound systems of our language structure is the first stage of reading. And then soon we move on to phonics instruction. At secondary school and beyond, you will have students that are stuck on pillar 1 and 2. Your data is telling you that. We then, if everything's going right, we move into fluency instruction, which talks about automaticity and prosody. Then we get to vocabulary, and then if we're lucky, we get to a stage where we get comprehension as an outcome of the other 4 pillars. So what's your data saying? So in a really kind of overarching manner, if you go to your whatever reading data that you do, you're looking for your standardised score, your STAY 9s. A student from secondary school upwards on a standardised score of 85 or below, STAY 9, 1, 2 and 3, your data's telling you very clearly that they've got gaps in their phonics. The older the student gets, obviously the more we need to be really thinking about our phonics instruction approach. It needs to be diagnostic, it needs to be pacey, because the curriculum doesn't wait. If you've got students in Key Stage 4 who are stuck on STAY 9, 1, 2 or 3, they are not decoding. Doesn't matter how great your subject content knowledge and your teaching of that subject is, if they're not decoding, it's not going in, it's not going anywhere. Your next layer, standardised score 85 to 115, STAY 9, 4 to 6, your data is telling you quite clearly that they can read, they can decode. We're now talking about fluency and vocabulary. So these are the students who are either stuck on a grade 3 and their data is telling you they should be on 6s and plus, and or students that are just for whatever reason have started to stall and have started to potentially regress. So your data is telling you very clearly that student needs a fluency and vocabulary intervention, because again, the curriculum is not waiting. And if students aren't able to access the academic vocabulary at speed, again, that content, the processing needed for the reading is too complex for them to be able to access the content of that exam and or your subjects. So we need to be thinking about that third piece of the triangle. We're sorting out the phonics gaps in our older learners. We're sorting out fluency and vocabulary in our older learners. But what about everybody else? How do we actually get to the fact that we need comprehension as an outcome of our reading? If we've got pillars 1, 2, 3 and 4 sorted, comprehension's like a bonus prize. They will automatically, the human brain automatically starts to make sense of the reading. And therefore, we need to be thinking about the teacher, the classroom. The most important intervention space that we have are making sure that our teachers are equipped with not only how you can teach reading, but a methodology to teach vocabulary that is the same in every classroom across your trust. So wherever that child goes or moves to, the vocabulary instruction is the same, and therefore lessens the potential of students falling further behind. How do we do that? Simply through deliberate practice. We upskill our staff to make sure that we are making vocabulary the central point of that curriculum, because if the students can't grasp the language, they will not be able to grasp the concept and the content that you're teaching them. And morphemic analysis or morphological awareness, depending on if you're doing the EHCP or not, is where we start. So we're looking at how we can connect stems, roots, suffixes to our language to make sure that rather than learning lists of words, students are able to decode meaning from vocabulary wherever they are. So when the exam board sticks a really grotty word in a question like history did a few years ago, and they put the word proponent in a question, the students who had a morphological awareness vocabulary instruction, they knew that pro meant forward, so they were looking for the person who was for the argument. That year, history results plummeted quite significantly from that one question because of the word proponent that was in that question. So simply, we've got to make sure that students on a standardised score of less than 85 have got a phonics intervention, 85 to 115 are on a fluency and vocabulary intervention, but your whole staff need to be empowered with how to teach reading, how to teach vocabulary, because nobody should be limited because they can't read. Thank you ever so much. Give us a shout if you want to chat.